Welcome to The King's Daughter with Dr. Franca Folorusho. You are about to discover the golden touch. Get daily inspiration by reading books written by Dr. Franca. Balancing marriage with office work and ministry, it provides ideas on how to achieve a better environment at home and work. Also get the understanding you need to make your marriage a model by reading One Flesh. Increase Your Price Tag is a book that enumerates what you need to do to increase your worth. And here is a must for singles. The book provides a guide to building a successful relationship and how to overcome common mistakes in relationships. The Treasured Pearl is a new book that unfolds the King's Daughter's observations and experiences spanning through the last 6 decades of our lives. You can also join the King's Daughter in partnership as we share the love of Christ to nations by sponsoring this program. For sponsorship, please call 0803-506-1310 or send an email to fornet07@yahoo.
Good evening and welcome again to the King's Daughter. Today we are looking at the life of one of the greatest examples of perseverance in the entire Bible, Apostle Paul, whose story is powerful because his journey in life was not easy. He suffered, he was rejected, he was beaten, he was imprisoned, he was misunderstood, yet he never gave up on God. Paul teaches us that perseverance is continuing moving forward even when life becomes painful. Paul's life teaches us that greatness requires endurance. Before Paul became an apostle, he was once called Saul, who was a man feared by Christians. He persecuted believers. He approved the killing of Stephen. He thought he was serving God, yet he was fighting against God's people. Then one day on the road to Damascus, everything changed. A light from heaven appeared and Saul encountered Jesus personally. That encounter transformed his entire life. This teaches us something powerful. Nobody is beyond the reach of God's mercy. The man who once destroyed Christians became one of Christianity's greatest voices. After his conversion, Paul did not have an easy life. In fact, suffering increased. Sometimes people think that once you follow God, life will become problem-free. Paul's life proves otherwise. Following God does not mean the absence of hardship. Paul listed many of his afflictions in 2 Corinthians chapter 11. Beatings, prison, hunger, shipwrecks, danger, betrayal, loneliness. Yet, Paul kept preaching. This is true perseverance. He understood that hardship is not always a sign that God has abandoned you. Some people think every difficulty means God is absent. No! Sometimes hardship is part of the process that prepares destiny. Gold is refined through fire. Faith is strengthened through trials. Paul refused to allow suffering to stop his assignment. Even in prison, he preached. In chains, he worshipped. In pain, he encouraged others. What a mindset! Most people focus more on their discomfort than their purpose. But Paul understood that purpose is bigger than comfort. That is why nothing could stop him. There is a powerful moment in Acts chapter 16, when Paul and Silas were thrown into prison, their hands and feet were chained. Their back had been beaten. The prison was dark, yet at midnight, instead of complaining, they began to pray and sing praises to God. Imagine that. Worship in pain, praise in prison, faith in suffering. That is spiritual endurance. And suddenly there was a great earthquake, and the prison doors opened. Paul teaches us that praise is powerful even in painful seasons. Many people praise only when things are going well, but mature believers learn how to worship even during storms. Paul also faced rejection from people, yet he continued loving, teaching, and serving because he depended on God's grace. At a point, Paul prayed for God to remove a particular sickness from his life, but God answered him differently. God said, "My grace is sufficient for thee, for my strength is made perfect in weakness." This changed Paul's perspective completely. He realized that human strength alone is never enough for destiny.
The secret to everything. The secret to unlimited joy, health, money, relationship, love, the secret to abundance, and everything you have ever wanted, dreamed, and desired. Jesus is the secret. He is the way, the truth, and life. Accept Him today and obtain all of those things you dared to dream about in the past.
His confidence was not in himself. His confidence was in God. Paul also remained disciplined. He did not allow distractions to pull him away from purpose. Many people fail not because they lack calling, but because they lack discipline. Paul stayed focused. He traveled from city to city, preaching the gospel. Towards the end of his life, Paul boldly declared, "I have fought a good fight. I have finished my course. I have kept the faith." What a powerful statement. He did not say, "I lived a comfortable life." No, he said, "I kept the faith." That was his victory, not comfort, not wealth, not applause. So, what made Paul excel? He was disciplined, he was focused, he was committed to purpose. He had spiritual endurance. He depended on God's grace. As we conclude today, remember this: pain is temporal. Purpose is eternal. The storm may come, the battles may rise, the pressure may increase, but if God has called you, His grace will sustain you. Keep pressing forward, keep believing, keep serving, keep standing, because great destinies require perseverance. You are blessed.
Daughter in partnership as we share the love of Christ to nations by sponsoring this program. For sponsorship, please call 0803 506 1310.